Hello, welcome back. So here we are, another day, another setup. This time, where else do we go? Home of British racing, this say? I don't know. Silverstone. All right. So let's just we just quickly save this kind of a meh-ish setup before I show you why I'm a bit slow. Well, thing is, my shifter, as you can see, it's been double shifting. So well, as you might have seen, into some corners, I'm just losing a little bit of time here and there just because the sensor decides to, yeah, let's double shift. And yeah, that aside, I think that was almost as clean as the best lap that I did on a world record setup. So let me just show you the world record setup in Silverstone, which I don't know who used it. This was it, 1810, 5150, right, left geometry. As always, it's the same. The actual world record setup was a 323153 on the suspension page, 150 brakes, and tire pressures, as you see, pretty high, because well, it's a high speed track, and in time trial, in high speed, higher pressures really work well to keep the car stable, and also gives you a lot more time in the high speed corners. There aren't many slow speed corners in Silverstone. You gain a lot more in the high speed stuff, so yeah, makes sense. And what I've done is to adjust that world record setup to slightly suit me when I was driving. I just reduced the rear suspension to 1, just so the rear doesn't slide too much, and I raised the rear ride height to 4, just so it's a bit more stable on the rear, not too much sliding going on the rear, and everything else was pretty much the same. Now my setup, what I've done is I've kept the same wings, but I've just adjusted the tire pressures over here. And as usual, when you go into a race situation, tire temperatures are going to matter. So I'm just trying out a setup that well, somewhat feels more realistic in terms of tire setup. So there you go, minimum on the fronts. I've put up to 3 clicks on the rear just so it's a bit more stable. Tire pressures, they do kind of affect your tire temperatures a little bit. The higher you go on your pressures, the higher your temperatures will be. But if you're smooth with your driving, you can keep those temperatures under control. And in Silverstone, you can keep it smooth if you are a smooth driver. If you're just gonna throw your car into every corner, every apex, you're probably gonna overheat your tires regardless if you have minimum pressures. So 3 on the rear is just to keep the rear a little bit more stable for my liking. Brakes, I've gone 150. Suspension, again, I've done a little bit of modification here. So I've gone 2 on the front suspension. That's to allow me to get a bit more front end grip, given that now that we reduced the pressures, right, naturally the car became a little bit more understeery in slow speed and even in high speed. So just to give me that extra bit of front grip, I reduced the front suspension. So the car drops, there's a bit more weight going to the front of the car, so there's more grip on the front. And anti-roll bars, I've reduced it to 4, increased it to 4 actually for the front, just so to give me a bit more stability in mid corner, given that the pressures are also again reduced, so that reduces the stability of the car in high speed and even in low speed, pretty much all over the track. It reduces the stability as you go down with the pressures. So lower pressure, car is less stable. So mid corner, high speed corners, just to get a bit more car balance, I've increased the front anti-roll bar by 1. Front ride height, I've kept it the same. I've tried lower, but its car gets a little too pointy, and you lose a little bit of time on the longer straights, especially coming out of Luffield, before Corps, right? The long run before Corps, and then Hanger Straight. At the end of that, you lose a little bit of time because of bottoming out on, it's a really high speed track, so you really gain top speed quite quickly around here. So 5 just nice, good clearance on the curb as well, whichever curbs you may need to take. Rear ride height, again, it's on 3, similar to the world record setup, because it felt just nice with the reduced pressures. I felt like rear ride height on 3 was just nice for me. You could even try 4, it was equally as good. You have to be smoother when you go lower on the ride height, because your car sits lower to the ground, so there's more chance of bottoming out your car under acceleration if you are not smooth with the throttle. 4, 5, all that just nice, just works. So I'll probably try out 5 and see how it works in the race. Maybe 4, maybe 3. I felt 3 is just nice, so I'll stick with that. And then transmission, I've kept it the same also, almost the same. So 51 off throttle, just to make the car a little bit more stable when I'm in the mid corner in high speed, changing directions. 51 off throttle just balances out the car just a little bit more. In qualifying, you can probably go 50 just to maximize your time gain. For race, you can go back up to 51. That will be just nice. On throttle, again, is personal preference. 50 is always a little bit sketchy when you go on throttle in low speed, such as coming out of the last corner here, and also turn 4, which are the two slowest parts of the track. When you put it on 50 on throttle, you have to be really carrying a lot of speed into and out of the corner in order to make use of this. Otherwise, if you're carrying a little less speed and you are probably going harder on the throttle, you may need to increase this a little bit so that the car is a bit more stable. The higher you go, the more stable it's going to get. It introduces a little bit of understeer on exit. So yeah, that's my preference here. There you go. And aero, I've kept it the same just because it's Silverstone. You need a lot of top speed around here as well in order to make overtakes. If you're quick around the corners, that's a good thing. But right after those corners are long straights. Wherever you see turn 1, 2 and 3, it's pretty much one sequence of long straight. And then turn 5, turn 6, it's a long straight again, DRS straight. And then before cops, it's another long straight. And then maggots and Beckett's. After that, hanger straight is another long straight. So you're gonna need all the straight line speed in the world that you can. At the same time, you will need some amount of downforce to get you through the corners without losing too much time. So this will be overall pretty good. In the race, if you feel after your practice runs, if you feel like you need more downforce, just a bit more, and you feel your straight line speed is just nice, you can always go one click higher on the wings. Or if you feel you're pretty good already in the corners, you just want to go nuts on the straight line speed, you can even go lower. But I'd say don't go any lower than 8 on the rear and maybe 13, 14 on the front, because then you really start to lose time in the corners. These are really high speed and long corners where you need to carry a lot of cornering speed. So yeah, there you go. That is the setup for Britain. 1810. Oh my god, this thing is kind of killing me. Maybe time to say goodbye to this good old wheel, or I'll get it serviced. Maybe it'll be back new. 1810 on the wings once again, and 52 on throttle. You go higher, it's more stable, and off throttle 51 again is more stable in high speed transition, fast corners, and even coming out of corners, going on throttle, having a little bit of off throttle stabilizes the rear end of the car, so they kind of work hand in hand. Suspension geometry always the same, no changing this. Suspension, it's personal preference again. If you feel on entry you need a bit more corner entry without compromising the wings, you need a bit more corner entry speed, you can always go down on the front suspension. If you feel it's too pointy on entry, either reduce the front wing, increase the rear wing, or you can go up on the front suspension. Anti-roll bar almost the same, but on the higher speed corners, if you feel the car is a little too unstable, let's say you're going through maggots and Beckett's and coming out to the hanger straight, if you feel on throttle the car is just trying to slide, you can always try going a little higher on the front anti-roll bars. That will help you out. And ride height, you can keep it the same. 4 or 5 on the rear right here will be much more stable if you are the kind of person who wants to stamp on the throttle all the time. So 3 is the bare minimum you should go. Any lower than that, the car really just doesn't like it. You'll just into turn 1, you'll just bottom out. That's how bad it is. Brakes 150, just nice. Maybe into a heavy braking zone like the last chicane. Into turn 3, you can always use 51 just so the rear of the car remains stable, especially during qualifying. Tire pressures, keep it as it is. Minimum on the front, 2 or 3 clicks on the rear, just nice. And yeah, tire temperatures are pretty crucial around here. Make sure you look after your tires, drive smoothly. There you go. For the ring, I'd say 5 clicks of wing is more than enough. If it's going to be intermediate race, just 5 clicks, nothing more than that. Otherwise, you still lose quite a lot of speed on the straights. 1 stop, 0 stop, zero stop is pretty much impossible around here anyway. If you want to be competitive in the inters, just go for somewhat a middle level downforce and you can make one stop easily. So there you go. And yeah, that's all about it. Leave your comments in the comment section. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments. You know, perhaps some kind of an adjustment that you need to do, everything can be asked. Yeah, sure. See you around. Take care. Bye bye.